In the heart of Europe, the past is never quite the past. As some in Ukraine have been idolizing World War II nationalist icons with blood on their hands, Poland is drawing a firm line between memory and myth. This year, Poland's president has made it official. July 11th is now a national day of remembrance for the Polish victims of genocide at the hands of Stepan Bandera's followers, ultra-nationalist militants who in 1943 turned former Polish lands into killing fields. Warsaw isn't sugarcoating history.
It's absurd. I come to Ukraine and people hug me, thank me, all while wearing armbands in Bandera's colors. I say we cannot accept this. And they throw up their hands and ask, what do you mean? We will never accept that you consider them heroes. Yes, we know you see them as fighters for a free Ukraine. But for us, they are nothing more than war criminals, murderers, and genociders. And that's what we will always call them.
But that move didn't sit well in Kiev. The Ukrainian government refused to acknowledge the day or the term genocide, reopening old wounds and stirring fresh diplomatic tensions.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine regards the decision of the Sejm of the Republic of Poland to establish July 11th as the Day of Remembrance of the victims of the so-called genocide committed by the OUN and UPA in the eastern territories of the Second Polish Republic as going against the spirit of good neighborly relations between Ukraine and Poland.
In 2016, Polish parliament made history, saying it plainly. Ukrainians committed genocide, which Kiev, of course, denied.
No to the pro-Bandera policy of the current government in Warsaw. No to the continuation of the pro-Bandera course in Polish historical policy. This is what we call for here today. It is morally disgusting. This is contrary to the historical truth, which always is revealed in the end.
In 2023, Poland's then Prime Minister dismissed full reconciliation with Kiev. And that's when the tensions between the neighbors took a critical turn. Because for the Poles, July 11th, 1943 is more than a day. It is forever burned into history as Bloody Sunday. From 1943 up until 1945, Ukrainian Nazi forces led by Stepan Bandera killed more than 50,000 Poles, many in territories once part of Poland. It began in Volhynia. Then, village by village, Ukrainian militants cut off escape routes and slaughtered civilians. Homes were torched, histories erased. In just a few weeks, over 500 villages were wiped out, and 20,000 Poles were murdered. This was the bloodiest wave of ethnic cleansing in Volhynia.
Our detachment, including myself, attacked the following villages: Staraki, Wyazovka, Ugla. The attack on these villages took place in November of 1943. In these villages, I killed, as I have noted above, 19 people. After the inhabitants of these villages were killed, their property and cattle were taken by us. In these villages, except for the village of Ugla, all the huts were burnt. The corpses of killed men and women, old men and children were left on the ground, in houses, and then set on fire. If Poles and Ukrainians live in the same village, and if these Ukrainians are not members of the Bandera organizations, we do the same with them as with the Poles.
On the 80th anniversary of the Volhynia massacre, Poland openly called for an apology. Ukraine pushed back.
Any attempts to impose on the president of Ukraine or on Ukraine what we should do with regard to our shared past are unacceptable and regrettable. We remember history, we are ready for dialogue and mutual understanding, and at the same time, we call for respect and restraint in statements, especially in the difficult reality of Russia's genocidal aggression against the Ukrainian people.
Poland calls the massacre a genocide, but Ukraine still honors those responsible for it as heroes. Warsaw has clearly stated there is no place for Ukraine in the EU unless the sides reach closure over Bandera's atrocities. Poland's president-elect has warned Zelensky there will be no true alliance, even against Russia, if Ukraine doesn't own up to what it did in Volhynia. Blackmail or tough truth?
Vladimir Zelensky, thank you for your message. I am looking forward to continue the partnership our countries share, based on mutual respect and understanding. I believe it requires not only good dialogue, but also solving overdue historical issues. Poland has been Ukraine's strongest supporter against the Russian aggression. No other nation understands this threat more than we do, and I hope we'll continue to work together for the common good, settling the unsettled past, and building a safe future together.
Where Kiev sees heroes, Poland sees war criminals. It seems Ukraine won't be able to walk away from this chapter quite so easily after all. As the political pressure grows, questions are being raised not just about history, but about the ideology at the heart of Ukraine's national identity today.
Ukrainians have already written that they do not like the Polish Day of Remembrance because the basis of the idea of the Kiev regime now is all banderism, Nazism. Western media turned a blind eye so that no one sees this, but the Poles already understand this perfectly well. Many Ukrainians, but not all, have normal views and want to cooperate, but the basis of the ideology of the Ukrainian regime is banderism, Nazism. We see this as is a threat, not only for the Poles, but for the Russian people and Belarusians as well, all Slavs. Because banderism, Nazism, is an ideology that propagandizes that other nations should not only be displaced and evicted, they should be killed. Most Poles have an understanding of this historical truth, but many Ukrainians do not.